The Galactic Empire had ruled the stars for thousands of years. Its fleets were feared. Its name was enough to make entire systems surrender without a fight. Every known species believed one simple truth: the Empire was unbeatable. That belief was about to break. Far from the busy trade routes, in a quiet and forgotten star system, a massive imperial fleet arrived. The system was small. One star. A few planets. Nothing important. According to imperial records, it held no military value and no serious defenses. The mission was routine. Destroy a minor human outpost. Send a message. Move on. Humans were not considered a threat. They were young, divided, and weak. At least, that was what the Empire believed. As the fleet slowed into position, scanners swept the system. The results were strange. There were signals. Movement. Energy readings that did not match any known technology. An officer frowned and ran the scan again. The results did not change. No matching records found, the system replied. The bridge grew quiet. The admiral stepped forward. He had commanded fleets that burned entire worlds. Yet something about this system felt wrong. The space around them felt heavy. Silent. Watching. Check the archives, he ordered. All of them. The officers obeyed. Ancient databases. Restricted files. Forgotten wars. Nothing. No ship designs. No power signatures. No history. The system was supposed to be empty. A scout ship moved ahead of the fleet, ordered to get closer to the human outpost. Its engines glowed softly as it advanced. Then it vanished. There was no explosion. No warning. No distress signal. One moment it existed. The next moment it did not. The bridge erupted into confusion. Did it jump? No jump signature detected. Was it destroyed? No debris, nothing. The admiral felt something he had not felt in centuries. Fear. He ordered the fleet to full alert. Weapons powered up. Shields strengthened. Fighters prepared for launch. Still, the scanners showed nothing new. Space remained empty. Then, slowly, something appeared. Not suddenly. Not violently. It simply emerged. A massive shape formed out of the darkness of space. Dark metal. Smooth lines. No bright lights. No markings of any known empire. It was larger than any ship the Empire had ever built. And it was completely silent. The unknown ship did not fire. It did not move aggressively. It just stayed there. Watching. The officers waited for attack warnings. None came. The admiral hesitated. Imperial doctrine was clear: unknown threats must be eliminated immediately. But something held him back. A deep instinct told him this was not a normal enemy. Before he could speak, one of the officers whispered, "Sir, it's not locking weapons." That made the silence worse. The Empire had always been attacked first. Challenged. Resisted. But this ship did nothing. The admiral clenched his jaw. "Fire a warning shot," he said. A single energy beam shot toward the unknown vessel. It struck the hull directly. Nothing happened. No damage. No reaction. Not even a change in position. The officers stared at their screens in disbelief. "Full volley," the admiral ordered, his voice tight. The fleet unleashed its power. Dozens of beams. Missiles. Weapons that had shattered moons. They all hit. And they all failed. The unknown ship remained untouched. Then, for the first time, it moved. It rotated slightly, almost calmly. A low energy pulse spread across space. It was not fast. It was not loud. But one imperial battleship simply disappeared. Gone. No wreckage. No explosion. Just empty space. The bridge froze. Every officer understood what they had just seen. This was not a weapon of war. This was a statement. The unknown power had waited. It had observed. It had allowed the Empire to act first. The Admiral finally understood the truth. This was not a forgotten system. This was a test. And the Galactic Empire had just failed it. Far away, hidden beyond scanners and sensors, other shapes began to move. Larger shadows. More ships. All silent. All watching. The unknown power was no longer hiding. And the Empire was no longer in control. The bridge of the Imperial flagship was silent. No one spoke. No one moved. Every officer stared at the empty space where one of their strongest battleships had been moments before. The screens showed nothing. No debris. No energy trail. It was as if the ship had never existed. The Admiral slowly exhaled. His hands were clenched behind his back. He forced his voice to remain steady. "All ships," he said, "hold position." That order surprised many. Imperial fleets never held position in front of an enemy. They advanced. They crushed. They dominated. But this enemy was different. The unknown ship remained in front of them, dark and still. It gave off no strong energy signals. No clear weapon ports. No obvious engines. Yet it had erased a battleship with ease. The Empire's greatest strength had always been knowledge. Every enemy could be studied. Measured. Predicted. This one could not. A senior officer broke the silence. "Sir, our weapons had no effect. Shields on that vessel may be beyond our understanding." The Admiral nodded slowly. "Then we changed tactics." He ordered long-range probes to be launched in every direction. He wanted to see the space around them. All of it. The probes moved out, scanning deeper and wider. Then the reports came in. The space around the fleet was not empty. Something was wrong with it. Distances felt shorter than they should be. Signals returned with slight delays that made no sense. It was as if space itself had been altered. "Sir," another officer said, his voice tight, "our jump drives are responding slowly." The Admiral turned. "Explain." "They are functional," the officer said, "but it feels like something is interfering. Like we are trapped inside a net." That word stayed in the air. Trapped. The Admiral made a decision he had avoided for centuries. He ordered the fleet to retreat. Engines powered up across hundreds of ships. Jump coordinates were entered. The fleet prepared to leave the system. Nothing happened. The stars did not stretch. Space did not fold. The fleet stayed exactly where it was. Panic began to rise. Engine crews ran checks again and again. Systems showed green. Power was available. But the jump failed every time. Before anyone could speak, the unknown ship moved again. This time, it did not erase a ship. It fired a thin beam of light toward a cruiser at the edge of the formation. The beam cut through shields as if they were not there. The cruiser's engines died instantly. It drifted helplessly. Then another beam struck a different ship. Weapons offline. Another beam. Sensors gone. The pattern became clear. The unknown power was not destroying randomly. It was disabling the fleet. Methodically. Calmly. Like a teacher correcting mistakes. The Admiral felt his confidence crack. This was not a battle for survival. This was a demonstration. "Open a channel," he said. The officers hesitated. The Empire did not speak to enemies. But the channel was opened. "This is Admiral Keth of the Galactic Empire," the Admiral said. "Identify yourself." For a long moment, there was nothing. Then a voice came through. "Calm. Human. Controlled. You entered a protected system," the voice said. "You fired first." The words were simple. Almost gentle. The Admiral straightened. "This system is not marked as protected in any record." "That is correct," the voice replied. "You were not meant to know." The bridge officers exchanged uneasy glances. "You destroyed one of our ships," the Admiral said. "No," the voice replied. "We removed it." That answer chilled the room. "Why?" the Admiral demanded. "To show you that you are not in control," the voice said. "And to give you a chance to stop." The Admiral's pride burned. The Empire had never stopped for anyone. "You are humans," he said. "Your species is insignificant." There was a pause. Then the voice spoke again, still calm. "That belief is why you are here." The unknown ship began to glow faintly. Not with heat, but with energy that felt heavy, deep, and ancient. More shapes emerged from the darkness. Not suddenly. Not aggressively. One by one. Huge vessels. Larger than the first. Each different, yet clearly part of the same design family. All silent. All surrounding the Imperial fleet. The Empire's scanners struggled to keep up. Numbers climbed rapidly. 10 ships. 20. 50. The fleet was encircled. The Admiral understood the truth too late. This was not an ambush planned in haste. This was preparation. Humans had studied the Empire. Learned its weapons. Learned its movements. And they had waited. The unknown power was not unknown anymore. It was humanity. And the Empire was standing in the middle of a cage it could not escape. The Galactic Empire had faced enemies before. Strong enemies. Clever enemies. Desperate enemies. But it had never faced an enemy like this. The Imperial fleet was surrounded. Human ships held position at every possible escape path. They did not rush. They did not shout threats. They simply waited, as if time itself belonged to them. On the bridge of the flagship, tension grew heavier with every second. Reports came in from all sides. Weapons systems were failing across the fleet. Communication lines flickered and collapsed. Targeting computers could no longer lock on properly. It was as if the Empire's technology was being quietly turned against itself. The Admiral stood frozen, staring at the tactical display. For the first time in his long career, the map did not show dominance. It showed weakness. A junior officer spoke softly. "Sir, they're not attacking us all at once." The Admiral already knew. Humans were choosing their strikes carefully. One ship disabled here. One cruiser erased there. Never enough to cause chaos, only enough to create fear. Fear was spreading faster than destruction ever could. Across the fleet, captains began sending private messages. Some asked for permission to surrender. Others demanded new orders. A few screamed accusations at their own command. Discipline was breaking. The Empire had always relied on fear to control others. Now that same fear was turning inward. The human voice returned on the open channel. "You are running out of time," it said calmly. The Admiral clenched his teeth. "What do you want?" "We want you to leave," the voice replied. "And never return." "That system holds no value," the Admiral said bitterly. "Why defend it?" "Because it is ours," the voice answered. "And because you needed to learn something." The Admiral laughed once, hollow and sharp. "Learn what?" "That you are not the strongest," the human said. As if to prove the point, another Imperial battleship vanished. No explosion. No sound. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. That was when panic truly took control. Several ships broke formation and fired wildly. Energy beams cut through space, hitting nothing. Missiles flew without guidance, exploding harmlessly. Human ships did not respond. They simply adjusted their positions. Another cruiser lost power. Another destroyer drifted silently, dead in space. The admiral realized the truth with painful clarity. Humans were not fighting to win. They had already won. This was about memory. About reputation. About fear traveling faster than fleets ever could. He opened a private channel to Fleet Command. "Cease all fire," he ordered. "Stand down." Some obeyed. Some did not. Those who continued firing were removed quickly and without emotion. The bridge shook slightly as energy rippled through space. A human ship passed close by the flagship, so close that the officers could see its surface. The hull was smooth but scarred. Not from this battle, but from older ones. Battles no record had ever mentioned. Humans had been at war before. Just not with the Empire. "Sir," an officer whispered, "they're scanning us." "Deep scans." The admiral nodded. "Let them." There was nothing left to hide. The human voice returned one final time. "You came here believing the galaxy belonged to you," it said. "You believed humans were weak because we stayed quiet." The admiral said nothing. Silence, the voice continued, was our shield. The surrounding human ships began to power up. Energy levels rose across their hulls. The fleet braced for the end. But it did not come. Instead, a path opened. Human ships moved aside, creating a narrow corridor leading out of the system. "You may leave," the voice said. "Carry this memory with you." The admiral felt something close to shame. The Empire did not feel shame. Yet here it was, heavy and unavoidable. He gave the order to withdraw. Only a fraction of the fleet could move. Many ships were damaged or disabled. But the humans allowed the survivors to go. As the flagship moved toward the exit corridor, the admiral looked back at the human ships one last time. They did not pursue. They did not celebrate. They simply watched. When the fleet finally escaped the system, the silence on the bridge was complete. Everyone knew what this meant. News would spread. Fear would spread faster. The image of an unstoppable empire was broken. The admiral closed his eyes. The war had ended before it truly began. And humanity had just announced itself to the galaxy. The surviving ships of the Galactic Empire limped back through known space. They did not return in victory. They returned in silence. Across the fleet, damage reports were incomplete. Some ships had lost engines. Others had lost weapons. A few had lost entire sections of their hulls without any sign of impact. Crews were shaken. Officers avoided eye contact. No one spoke about what they had seen, yet everyone was thinking about the same thing. The unknown power. Humanity. When the fleet finally reached Imperial territory, emergency signals were sent ahead. High Command demanded answers. Senators demanded explanations. The people demanded reassurance. They received none. The admiral stood before the High Council days later. The chamber was filled with the most powerful figures in the Empire. Generals. Politicians. Historians. All waiting to hear how a routine mission had turned into a nightmare. The admiral spoke slowly. Carefully. He described the silent ship. The erased battleships. The failed weapons. The trapped fleet. He described the human voice. When he finished, the chamber was silent. One counselor finally spoke. You are suggesting humans possess technology beyond our understanding. The admiral nodded. Yes. Another counselor leaned forward. That is impossible. Our records show humans are divided, slow, and behind us. That is what we believed, the admiral replied. Belief is not fact. The historians rushed to their archives. Old records were reopened. Forgotten encounters were re-examined. Strange gaps in data were suddenly questioned. Patterns began to emerge. Lost scouts. Unexplained disappearances. Conflicts that ended without a clear enemy. Humanity had always been near the edges of these events. Watching. Across the galaxy, rumors spread. Traders whispered about an imperial fleet that returned broken. Smugglers spoke of ships that vanished without explosions. Border worlds began to ask dangerous questions. If the Empire could bleed, then the Empire could fall. Rebellion sparked almost immediately. Small at first. Then larger. Systems that had obeyed out of fear now tested their freedom. Imperial patrols moved to suppress them, but hesitation slowed every response. Commanders remembered the unknown ships. They remembered how powerless they had felt. Fear had changed sides. Meanwhile, far from Imperial space, human vessels moved quietly. They did not celebrate. They did not broadcast their victory. They observed the galaxy with calm patience. Human leaders met in silence. The decision had been made long ago. The Empire had crossed a line. The demonstration was necessary. Not to conquer, but to warn. The human defense network remained hidden, spread across systems no one thought to search. Their ships were ancient by human standards, improved slowly over centuries. Each carried the memory of past threats and past losses. Humans remembered everything. Back in the Empire, debates turned into arguments. Arguments turned into panic. Some demanded a full-scale war against humanity. Others begged for diplomacy. A few quietly suggested surrender. The Empire had never faced such division. The High Council issued a public statement at last. It was short. Careful. Weak. The recent engagement was an anomaly. No one believed it. Independent systems stopped paying tribute. Trade routes shifted. Military recruitment fell. Confidence collapsed. And through it all, humanity remained silent. That silence was worse than any threat. Because now the galaxy knew what silence meant. It meant watching. It meant preparing. It meant power held back on purpose. The admiral, now removed from command, spent his days reviewing the battle recordings. Again and again, he watched the moment the first ship vanished. Again and again, he heard the human voice. You fired first. He understood now. Humans had not wanted war. But they were ready for it. And if the Empire attacked again, there would be no warning. No demonstration. No mercy. Across the stars, worlds began to change their symbols. Imperial banners were lowered. New alliances formed quietly. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. But it had changed it forever. The age of unquestioned empire was over. And everyone knew one truth now. There was a power in the galaxy that did not seek control. Only respect. The galaxy did not calm after the battle. It held its breath. Every major power watched the borders of human space. Every intelligence network searched for signs of movement. Every military council asked the same question in private. What do humans want? No answer came. Weeks passed. Then months. Human ships did not advance. They did not claim territory. They did not demand tribute. The trade lanes near human systems remained open, untouched. Civilian traffic was not harmed. Even imperial merchants were allowed to pass without interference. That confused the galaxy more than destruction ever could. The Galactic Empire tried to rebuild its image. New fleets were announced. Old commanders were replaced. Parades were held on core worlds. Official broadcasts spoke of strength and unity. But fear does not listen to speeches. Captains hesitated before entering unknown systems. Patrols doubled their sensor sweeps. Every shadow in space felt threatening. The Empire still ruled, but it no longer felt eternal. In quiet rooms, Imperial scientists studied the data taken from the battle. What little data there was. Human technology did not break known laws of physics. It ignored them. Energy patterns behaved like living things. Space itself had been shaped, not traveled through. The conclusion frightened even the scientists. Humans were not more powerful because they had better weapons. They were more powerful because they understood the universe differently. That understanding could not be copied quickly. Maybe not ever. Meanwhile, humanity watched the changes it had caused. Human leaders did not speak of victory. They spoke of balance. Of distance. Of lines that must not be crossed again. Human history had taught them one lesson above all others. If you destroy every enemy, new ones will rise. If you teach fear, it fades. But if you teach respect, it lasts. A single message was prepared. It was not sent through military channels. It was not encrypted or hidden. It was broadcast openly across known space. Every government received it at the same time. The message was short. We do not seek your worlds. We do not seek your power. We will not interfere in your conflicts. But if you threaten humanity, or those under our protection, we will respond. Once. There was no signature. There did not need to be. The reaction was immediate. Some leaders felt relief. Others felt anger. A few felt shame. The Galactic Empire felt something close to gratitude. The High Council debated a response for days. In the end, they sent nothing. Silence was safer. Years passed. The galaxy slowly adjusted. Borders stabilized. Conflicts cooled. Trade adapted. The Empire remained strong, but cautious. It learned to ask questions before sending fleets. Humanity faded back into the background. But not into myth. Stories of the battle became lessons taught in academies. Young officers learned that power without understanding was dangerous. That enemies were not always loud. That silence could hide strength. The admiral who had faced humanity lived out his final years quietly. He wrote no memoirs. He gave no interviews. But when asked once what he had learned, he answered simply. We were never defeated, he said. We were corrected. Far beyond the borders of known space, human watch stations remained active. Their ships remained ready. Their leaders remained patient. They did not rule the galaxy. They guarded a future where they would not need to. And somewhere, deep in the stars, unknown to most, human sensors detected new signals. Faint. Curious. Watching. Humanity noted them. And waited. Because now, the galaxy understood the truth. Humanity did not shout. Humanity did not conquer. Humanity endured. And that was enough.